At this time, I'd like to call to order the regular monthly meeting of the South Union Township Board of Supervisors. Please rise for silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the roll call, Mr. Vernon?
Here.
Mr. Schiffbauer?
Here.
Mr. Scott here. Number 5, the Roadmaster Report. Mr. Vernon?
Yes, sir. The month of October, the following is our Roadmaster's report. We milled and paved throughout the township. Some of the streets we milled and paved and patched was Elma Avenue, Lydia Drive, Hague Lane, Gentile Drive, Womack Street, South Mount Vernon Avenue Extension, Farm Road, Bryson Boulevard, Rex Drive, Clover Lane, the Jamison, we put a new curb in, and also on Gentile Drive, alley between Braddock and Clareton, William Smith Drive, Highland Park Drive, Joanne Lane, McConnell Avenue, Thomas Drive, and Virginia Circle. Also, we've cleaned and got our plow trucks out when it was raining. Took them out, we started cleaning and waxing them. We have our mechanic right now going over all the trucks and getting them inspected for the upcoming winter. We hauled compost 12 days for the month of October. We trimmed trees. Some of the tree areas we trimmed was on Old Furnace Road, Wiggins Lane, Duck Hollow, and behind the South Union Fire Department. There's a couple of branches over there for the fire department. We had a sweeper truck out 10 times during the month of October. We cleaned out a trough and leaf. We replaced part of the floor in the front as you walk into the rec center. We had that flood this summer, it did some damage. We cleaned out a ditch on Railroad Street. We dug a trough over on Duck Hollow. We've had problems over here in the winter time, but the drainage was bad poor, so we took care of that thanks to Mr. Scott. We pulled weeds around the rec center in the township building. We cleaned out inlets on Mountain Shadow Road. We replaced some stop signs on Water Street, Revere, Long Avenue, in Revere, and Balsinger Road. We weed whacked around our guardrails throughout the township, and also weed whacked around our stone wall on Cinder Road. We put a no outlet sign toward the bottom of St. James in the Brighton Court area, and we repaired inlets up in the Grandview Manor area, Kimberly Drive. We put 2 new inlets in over there. That concludes our report. If you have anything else you'd like to add, the Roadmaster.
Mr. Schiffbauer?
I have nothing further.
The only thing I'd like to add is we will be closing the facilities at both of our parks probably by the 15th of November. The walking tracks will still be open, obviously, but there will be no facilities. Number 6, Code Enforcement Report. Mr. Vernon, that's also you.
Thank
Talk
you.
a lot today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the month of October, our South Union Township Code Report. Again, we have 2 full-time officers during the day. They travel throughout the township 1,511 miles throughout the township patrolling. And in the evenings and on weekends, we have 3 part-time officers. They travel a total of 1,809 miles for a grand total of 3,320 miles throughout the township. We travel to help be the eyes for the state police. They give out 1 fire lane and 1 handicap parking ticket. Our officers during the daytime sent out letters for property repairs of 12, junk vehicles 5, 4 dog complaints. Burning complaints, we only had 3 this month. Again, we can only burn from 8 to 5 on Saturday. High grass and weeds, we had 5 complaints. We had 2 quad complaints. We usually have them every month. 1 delinquent garbage account, and we had citation issued by our officers was 4. So the total of letters sent out and citation issued was 36 for the month of October. And that concludes the October report. Also, I'd like to add that we had a very nice turnout for Halloween. We were out patrolling, and we had no problems we know of. We had to thank the state police for coming out with us patrolling.
Thank you, Mr. Vernon. You have anything, Mr. Schiffbauer?
Nothing further.
Agenda item number 7, motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. The chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. to approve the minutes of last month.
Do we have a proper second?
I'll second Mr. Schiffauer's motion.
On the roll call, Mr. Schiffauer,
Yes.
Mr. Vernon,
Yes.
Mr. Scott, yes, motion carries. Number 8, do we have any comments on the agenda items? This is on the agenda items for today. No?
We're going to recycle.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody do now, wait for 12.
Yeah, you
You
can.
can talk toward the public comment.
Yeah.
Number 9, the sewage department report. During the month of October, we had 116 calls, 8 service calls, 4 tap inspections. No issues at 2 of the pump stations. Route 21, we're still working on new lighting. We obtained prices about painting and pressure washing the inside of the whole pump station. We did have 2 inches of rain on October 21st, which we discharged manhole B200, which is on Brownfield Lane. State pipe cleaned and video Brownfield Road and Gun Club Road, and we didn't have any issues during that rain, so I think we corrected that issue. We are doing an audit of our sewage department, and we're finding customers that aren't paying sewage bills. So if you do get something in the letter and you get a back bill, we're back billing the apartments, whatever we found, houses, 3 years. Legally, we can go back 7 years. We're only doing 3 years. If you can't pay it at one time, please come in. We'll set you up with a payment plan. I think we're being more than fair on this because most of these are apartments. You're getting rent for them, and we're just now finding out that the sewage bills were never being paid. So if you have any problems, contact one of us and we can help you out. That's all I have for my sewage report for the month of October. Gentlemen, have anything to add?
No.
Thank you. Number 10, motion to adopt the proposed budget for fiscal year 2017. We bounced the budget again. Mr. Schiffauer can probably elaborate on this because it's far beyond my years here, but there hasn't been a tax increase for 48 years. We're maintaining that another year. And just, I have more people, I mean, I've said it probably 30 times since I've been supervisor, but people need to understand that the township only gets, if your assessed value of your house is $100,000, we only get $60 in taxes through real estate. The school district gets $1,530 and the county gets $452. So there's always, the first thing I get yelled at about, it's first thing I hear is I pay $3,000 in taxes. You don't pay $3,000 in taxes to the township. That is your county, school, and township tax. And as you can see, we're way lower than the other. I think, Bob, you have the figure, what is it, 25 times lower than?
22.
22 times lower than the school, or the city, yeah. And then if you lived in a city and your house was $100,000, it'd be $1,225 compared to our 60. So our taxes are low. Our budget will be on here at the township office if you'd like to take a look at it before we approve the budget at the January meeting, I believe, right?
Yes.
At this time, the chair to entertain a motion. If you gentlemen don't have anything else to add for the proposed 2017 budget.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and proper second on the roll call. Mr. Scott, yes. Mr. Schiffauer.
Yes.
Mr. Vernon.
Yes.
Motion carries. Number 11, pass a resolution to apply for 2016 Community Development Block Grant Funds. Mr. Vernon.
Previous today at 3:30, we had a final meeting, hearing on our community block grant money. Every year we get money from the federal government that goes through, channels into the state. This year we were entitled to $139,071. We have an administration fee of 18%, and then we have a housing rehabilitation program and environmental study. So what we get, the bottom line is $106,555. So we decided we're going to propose asking the government to approve us to do road reconstruction in South Mount Vernon Avenue area, Corner Street areas, Jamison, and also in the Meadowbrook area. Hopefully pave the whole Meadowbrook area. We're asking for it. And also, anything left over, we'll put it in for some blight problems we have in the township. So I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution for that block grant for those 3 items at this time.
I'll second Mr. Vernon's motion.
We have a motion and proper second on the roll call. Mr. Vernon?
Yes.
Mr. Schiffbauer?
Yes.
Mr. Scott, yes, motion carried.
May I add that the resolution itself will be available
Right.
at the township, here at the municipal building, and make part of the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Number 12, we've been touching on this for the last 3 months, Goodwill Industries. They're asking for an increase, tentatively $1 per month for all the mandated residents of South Union, North Union, and the city of Uniontown. We approved tentatively, we approved pending North Union and the city. North Union approved the same as we did, and the city hasn't made any move to this date. I went over the figures. I mean, recycling's down, there's no doubt about it. They haven't had an increase since, I think it was 1998 when they started. The city, or the county did give them $20,000 more from 1998 till now. That's all they've increased. I can't see the city, some of the council members are claiming that there's, administration fees. We laid down the numbers. We had the guy here. Now, we can't verify the numbers. We're just going by what we're being told. They're losing on average of $70,000 a year collecting the recycling. So, in my mind, that if we have to charge each resident $12 a year to keep these 25 people working down at the recycling center, their equipment, I went down and toured the facility myself. Their equipment is, it probably won't even pass inspection, most of it. I mean, that's how bad it's gotten. I mean, most of the trucks are from the early 2000s and have close to 500,000 miles, and that's local 500,000 miles. So I think it's warranted. I haven't found anything yet that I don't think. I mean, if we could start recycling and bring up our numbers, we wouldn't have to do the increase. But that's not something we can do by December 31st. So with that being said, I mean, I'm on board for the increase. I don't believe it's going to, $12 a year, I don't believe it's going to affect anyone's life that drastically. And if you guys have anything to add, I know, Bob, you've been following this close.
Yeah, first of all, you have to understand, we're mandated by the state to conduct a recycling program. It's not whether the supervisors want it. We do feel it's a good idea, though, as far as our environment and all the other positive reasons to have a recycling program. But it's been operating since 1992. We've been lucky to have Goodwill to do our collecting and marketing and processing of the materials. As Jason said, they have had very little additional inflow of income with the reduction of the unfortunate, our residents throughout South Uniontown, they're not participating as much in the program. That has also lessened their income. So what we plan to do in addition to this considered fee of $12 a year for the recycling program, we're going to conduct a re-education program throughout the general public of the 3 municipalities to remind them that what benefits are derived through the recycling program. It keeps the costs down. And we have looked into having other entities do the recycling for us, like the advanced disposal. They do the garbage collection for us. And we've had some quotes, and it's considerably more than what Goodwill charges for us, even considering what the potential of a $12 fee per year from the residents. So, we're still ahead of the game by keeping Goodwill with us. They employ handicapped people. That's another positive aspect. And I think we've already pretty much decided we're going to, and we have agreed to increase or establish this fee. We've met with the city, North Union, several times and Goodwill. And right now we're just waiting for city to take action and make their increase official too. They've had an opportunity. We met about a week and a half ago with the mayor, and we went over this again, and the ball's in their end of the court, and hopefully they act on it. There's just no other alternative. It's less expensive or cheaper, and it's something we certainly have to do. But, with that, I think we're going to have to reach out once again to the city, and hopefully by the end of the year, all three entities will be ready to put in place this charge and allow Goodwill to function. But they just can't maintain these losses any longer.
I do believe that the city changed your hearing date from today, or meeting date from today until Monday. So hopefully we'll get an answer after Monday's meeting if they're going to go along with us with Goodwill. Hopefully we'll work it out with them.
Thank you.
Mr. Scott, may I speak to this issue?
You can speak during public comment if you don't mind. Thank you. Number 13, comments on passing of John Kazarick. When I started here as supervisor, John had already fallen ill. I did talk to him a lot on the telephone. He would call me, and you could tell that his passion about the South Union Township Sports Network was just unbelievable. I don't know if you'd ever find anyone that would be as passionate about the program as him. I mean, that's all he talked about. And, he knew my family was in business for a lot of years, and when he was having problems with sponsors, he'd call me, and I'd make some calls for him to try to get, different people to have commercials on TV. And I know Bob and Rick, Bob started it with John, and Jerry's behind the camera now. And I think there's something like over 2,500 sporting events that the two of them did together, which is, pretty phenomenal. And I know I have 3 kids in sports now, and no matter where we play, if we have traveling teams coming in, I mean, first thing they see is they see Jerry up in the press box with the camera, and you tell them that the game's going to be on YouTube, or, and Grandma lives in Harrisburg, and she can watch her grandson play, on. It's unbelievable how important it is to these people. You don't really realize it, but I just want to let even though I didn't know him as well as these gentlemen, he definitely had the passion that drove to make it successful. Bob, I'm sure you have some.
Well, when we started with the idea, and I'll just keep my remarks here brief, but when we started with the idea of establishing a sports network, it seemed like something good, and it certainly has proven to be so. But after going into this, we found out real quickly, unless you're able to solicit the right help, especially the announcer, the thing could turn out to be a debacle. And finding somebody that possessed that quality and the ability to announce and not offend anybody, highlight the family activities, these young individuals. We expanded off of the sports programs and community events. So we've grown, and it's been, as Jay said, it's been a very positive thing for our township and the residents and everybody who enjoys watching. But John's dedication was just unbelievable. You couldn't find a more dedicated person, and very sincere. And we're truly going to miss John. And I think at some point maybe we might be able to establish some type of a fund or memorial for John, especially over at the rec center where he spent so many hours announcing. And we're truly going to miss him. And I'm sure the gentleman behind the camera right now, I don't think everybody miss him any more than Mr. Dupay, our cameraman. And those two worked together since the inception of the program.
Thank you.
I'd like to just mention, I knew John before he started with the South Union Sports. He was across the street from me since the late 1970s, and he was just an asset to the whole community. Back then I was a teacher, and I was a baseball coach at the high school, and he'd come to the games, and he worked a little bit at AWPQR maybe for a couple of games. That was an old station we had back in the 70s. I coached baseball at the high school. And he was just an asset. Everybody loved him. I raised 3 children, my stepchildren. He loved him. He broadcasted every game. You could see it on TV. He would come to the house. He would come to any block party and talk sports. No one was a better man and a sports figure in this area than John Kazarick. And we went to the funeral Saturday. We had a mass at St. Teresa's Church. I never saw a mass so crowded in my life at that church. It's a large church, and it was almost full capacity. And John, we're going to miss you, buddy. Hang in there.
Thank you. Number 14, comments from the public. Come on up. State your name for the record, please. Yeah, come on up to the podium.
How you doing? Good. Jerry Klima, Coronation Street. I just wanted to comment about the, excuse me, recycling. I know we're gonna pay $1 fee, which is fine. I mean, most people would argue. I mean, Goodwill does a very good job. I have no problem with it. I would think most people don't. However, what I do have a problem with is the people who don't recycle. Now, yesterday we had precinct 1, is that what I meant, Rick? Is that called precinct 1, right? I would say tops 60% participation. I mean, that is tops. So if you and I, and we're all doing it, I think everyone in the township should do it. And we have an ordinance on the books, is 1-90, that I think we should enforce. Now, Rick, you said we have 2 code enforcement driving around daytime. Could they not do that and make sure it's enforced?
I don't think we have any power to enforce it, Mr. Davis, do we?
Well,
We're mandated by the state to have it available for the public.
I don't think we can make people recycle, from what I remember, and I haven't looked at the ordinance. I didn't expect to have this issue come up today. I don't think we can make them recycle, and I think the enforcement is difficult, because if for example, you don't have anything in your home that's recyclable for this particular period of time, it's possible. So I don't know that there is any place where there's mandatory recycling that I'm aware of. I can look
There's
into it
never a
further.
charge filed out the district judge for those 24 years. There's never any charges filed by our township.
So,
I don't
Well,
think. Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
let me go. I think the best path is helping solve our problem, with getting people to participate, is a more softer approach. Re-educate them, remind them. We were, when we started the program, somewhere between 80 and 85%. And we did it before in the past. There's no reason why we can't do it. And I'm sure with our residents, once they are enlightened with the positive aspects and all the things that are involved with the recycling program, I think we'll be back up to that figure in no time. It's just going to take a
How are we
little.
going to proceed with that then?
We're going to apply for money. DEP provides a grant where we can use the money to develop an advertising program,
Newsletters.
newsletters, leaflet pamphlets, programs on the radio and TV, announcements, advertisements. That's what we used before, and there's no reason why we wouldn't have the same kind of results now.
Then you hand out to every resident and
Yeah, they'll be
strongly
disseminated.
suggest that they
Yeah,
recycle?
in the mail, yeah.
We do give out the cans free, recyclable.
Right, yes,
We have the cans.
I've
free.
seen it for many other purposes. though.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd rather do it that way than issue citations and
Yeah, we don't want to do
ask
that.
everybody to remind their neighbors, and I think we'll do well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
This is the ordinance. My name is Patty Tobel. I have been a longtime resident of South Union Township, very proudly, and seen a lot of improvements, and certainly the recycling program was one such improvement, started in 1992, I believe. But I would like to speak to the proposed $1 increase in solid waste management fees designated to be applied to the financing of the operation of the recycling program offered through Goodwill. I also have no objection to paying an additional $1 a month, and I don't think that many residents would object to that, recognizing the importance of recycling. However, I do believe it is unfair to those households that are recycling, regardless of how few they are. I think it is an unfair levy to them because they're already doing their part by providing the materials for Goodwill to recycle and obtain funds from those. South Union Township has a recycling ordinance that was established in accordance with Section 1501 of the Municipal Waste Planning, Recycling, and Waste Reduction Act of 1988. This ordinance requires that persons separate at least 3 materials from other municipal waste generated at their homes. At least once monthly, recyclable materials are required to be placed at the curbside in designated containers for collection. It also contains the statement that any person who violates any provision of this ordinance shall, upon conviction, be sentenced to pay a fine of no less than $100, no more than $1,000 in costs, and if in default of payment of fines and costs, undergo imprisonment for not more than 30 days. I think that's harsh. I think that's silly for us as responsible citizens of this country, of this township, to even get to the point that this would have to be enforced. It is truly, truly silly. I also have the question, is this ordinance being enforced? I don't think it is. If not, why? I have to believe if the collection rate is down to 20% even, the amount of funds that would be obtained through enforcing this would get you more than enough money to finance the recycling program through Goodwill, without incurring penalties on people. And I know Jason had made some observations of driving through your neighborhood and seeing the lack of containers out. I see it in my neighborhood. I see it around the township. So it is a common problem. And it's not that we should recycle just because there is an ordinance. That ordinance was enacted by the state. It's an important ordinance. Recycling does a lot of good things. It saves money. I don't know how many of you grew up during the time that I did when we used to collect pop bottles and take them back to the stores and you got 2 cents or you got a nickel. And that was because they recognized that those containers could be recycled and could be reused, and it was for the betterment of society. It creates jobs, like the jobs that we have here in Fayette County for Goodwill, and that's a valuable resource. It eliminates landfill waste. I don't know if anybody here has lived near a landfill. I mean, just to drive by landfills, they are not pleasant to look at. They emit odors that are horrendous for the people who live around them. So anything that we can do to reduce the amount of contribution of waste to those landfills is a very, very good thing. So we really need to look at this. We need to look at this seriously. I saw Mr. Schiffbar's presentation several months ago. I don't often get to the meetings. The timing is not good, but I always try to watch them on CUTV, which was something, again, that Jerry contributed to, and I would reiterate how much Mr. Kazarek has meant to our township. When we were doing the Hopwood project, he was invaluable in terms of participating, putting the parade on TV, getting the word out to people. John was just a wonderful, wonderful man. But Mr. Schiffbar, I heard you talk about the need for increased public information and education. That's there. We need to do something about it, though. Talk is cheap. Let's get moving on it and let's get some information. The information that went out initially was excellent when the recycling program began, and we did have people participating. There's no reason why we can't have that happening again. You can do PSAs, you can do newspaper articles, you can post at public events. Many businesses, and we have so many in our township, have bulletin boards that you can post that information on. Tell people why it's important to do it, and it's important because we need to preserve this planet. We need to preserve this planet for our children, for our grandchildren, and recycling is a critical, crucial way that we can do that. So I would please ask for your support in doing something about this problem. I also thought about having the code officers go around. They haven't issued too many citations based on this month's report, but certainly, they could go around and put a sticker on somebody's door and say, you didn't have any recycling out this month. Was it because you had no waste to recycle? Or was it because you forgot? Was it because you need a container? Call the township. If not, there are penalties. And those penalties can also be incurred by the township. The penalties are not going to be incurred just by citizens, but this state regulation on waste recycling has penalties for municipalities that don't enforce these regulations. So as a concerned citizen, I ask you please to do something about this. Tack $1 on, that's not going to break anybody, but please do it because it's the right thing to do and get people more involved in recycling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
We'd like to introduce, before we go any further, we have a distinguished guest, Congressman Schuster with us. He's in the area. We're going to be meeting with him later on, some issues, and he's here a little early, so we'd like to have him come up here and give a few comments to the public and say hello.
Sure. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the occasion to be here, and I think this is a a great forum, township, the residents of the township getting to see their government in action. It's great transparency. I appreciate it greatly. And you run a very, very efficient meeting. I appreciate that too. Sometimes in Washington, things don't run so efficiently. So, but yeah, I wanted to just bring up to speed the folks in the township. We've met with the supervisors in the past to talk about and try to figure out the Sheepskin Trail project, which I think is a tremendously positive project, connecting this county to the Great Allegheny Passage, which of course runs from Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C., and I've seen through other parts of the 9th Congressional District, which Fayette County falls in, have tremendous benefit from it. Myersdale, Confluence, Somerset County, and of course Ohio Powell. Confluence, I was there a couple of years ago, and just the property values, because of what they've been doing in that community, are gone way up. And I think this is just a positive, it'll have positive economic benefits to the communities, attracting tourism. And of course, we already have this part of Pennsylvania as a great tourist attraction with the mountains here, with Fort Necessity, with Namacolin, and all the other things you have to offer. So again, I'm committed. I've committed to the supervisors to try to find those dollars to continue to build that trailer to connect. 34 miles, I think, is total would do the connection. And there are dollars in the transportation funding bill that we passed in December, which comes out of the Committee on Transportation Infrastructure, which I chair. There are dollars dedicated to those types of trails. We have to work with the state, so I've committed to the supervisors to work with the local officials, supervisors, the commissioners, your local state, your state representatives, state senators, all of us working together to try to make this become a reality. So I just appreciate the opportunity to be here and update you on that. And if there's any other questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you here today, and the comments about the Sheepskin Trail. I don't think the general public realizes the potential economic development as you do, and especially in your position, what you're going to be able to do for Fayette County. It's going to be a tremendous boost to our economy, but there again, as a community, we're going to have to get behind this, show our support for the elected officials, residents. We've met with the commissioners. I know the new commissioners on board now. They are certainly behind the program, and with the proper assistance and funding, hopefully not too many years from now, we'll be able to make that connection between the Gap and West Virginia.
And I would encourage any residents that have any doubt of the economic impact to take a ride over to Confluence, or to, of course, Ohio Powell being here in Fayette County, but Confluence was just amazing. 10 years ago, this was a little town that was really on its heels, and now property values of people from Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Pittsburgh buying summer homes there. Businesses have sprouted up to service the trail. Really a very positive impact, and I think it'll do the same to this region of Fayette County.
Well, we thank you for your coming and your support, Congressman.
Hey, I'll still leave yet. One more thing we want to thank you for. People might not realize this, but Patty Tobel mentioned the Hopwood project. Without this congressman right here, we wouldn't even be there. I think it was almost $1 million you gave us. We really appreciated that, Joe. Thank you for your help in the future for our trail.
I appreciate you saying that. It was one of the first projects that I was able to be helpful on in Fayette County. And it's, again, whenever I drive through Hopwood, it makes me smile to know I was just part of the team, local folks, what you do and how you stayed, your perseverance. And so I was just happy to
Wouldn't be there without you, without your help with the monetary.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Anyone else? Number 15, the financial statement.
Mr. Chairman,
You want to do that?
you want, I'll go ahead.
It don't matter, I can do the other one. And for the financial report for the month of October, our general fund checking account is $286,269.25. Our general fund investment account is $55,164.90. Our state fund is $217,816.58. Our hydrant fund is $4,658.27. Our athletic fund is $6,938.97. Our payroll fund is $4,658.91. Our sheepskin trail this time is $130,100. The North Union South Union Government Board Fund is $22,007.74 for a total amount of $727,614.62. And also our sewage department fund is $2,004,605.66. That gives us our treasury report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Any corrections? Thank you. Number 16 is motion to pay all current bills.
I'll move to pay the following bills. North Union and South Union Government Board Fund, $5,350. State Fund, $14,946.53. Our Fire Hydrant Fund, $1,160.23. Our Athletic Fund, $1,565. Our Sewage Fund, $159,735.97. And our General Fund is $167,601.72.
Thank you,
My
Mr.
motion.
Mr. Vernon. I'll second your motion. On the roll call, Mr. Vernon?
Yes.
Mr. Scott, yes. Mr. Schiffbauer? No answer. Number 17, Mr. Solicitor, do you have anything to add?
Well, I just, I wanted to comment on South Union Township Television, and I remember I was here when that all started. And John, you know, he was the right person at the time. I mean, you couldn't find anyone who had more passion, and he did a better job. Not just passionate, but he kind of made those games, and I've watched them from time to time when my children participated. He made them fun for the viewers. So you know, he was a great loss to the township and a great loss to our entire area here, and I extend my heartfelt sympathies to his family.
Yeah, he was a great guy. One other thing before we go, I'd like to, I pulled it up while Rick was talking, just to show you. I mean, I know like you like to see stuff out in the mail, but you know, I'm I guess new age. But I put on I do our Facebook page for South Union Township, and August 2nd I put residents are mandated under state law to recycle. I showed the zones we have. I put it on Facebook. I shared it. My wife shared it. My friend shared it. Okay. And I got 872 people saw the post. Okay. Trick or treat I put on 1 month ago, and 7,929 people saw the Halloween post. So it only
candy
goes.
is better than garbage.
But it only goes if the people. But you know, the same people saw the Halloween one that saw the recycling one. But I think the other one, like this one had 1,023 shares. The recycling had 17, and I know 15 of those were my friends.
And so I think we have to at least talk about the penalties, whether you enforce those penalties, or you're not enforcing them now.
I don't know how you do that.
I don't know, people have to value it.
See, the problem of
It's
enforcing, you could put one item in that can, and then that's a
good,
problem.
That's
good.
better
But
than-
they're throwing the
Put 'em in that
other
can.
two,
But I mean, just the perception that you see.
Yeah.
Like I have 3 kids, so family of 5 in my house. Okay, you would think we'd have a lot of recycling, right? We're never home. We're never home. But I have 3 kids in 3 different sports, and we're never there. I mean, we sleep there. That's all we do. We don't eat dinner there. We don't eat. You know, we wake up and we leave. We don't eat there. You know, we either eat at my parents or we go out to eat. It's a different lifestyle today. It's not like it was before. When I grew up, we had, you know, there was 4 of us, and we'd have 4 recycling barrels at full, you know, but I don't know how you would enforce it. I mean, that's something we could look into, but I don't see how you would enforce to know how much they would.
I think it's unfortunate if it needs to be enforced.
I do too, that's what we were
The
saying.
better point is
Right.
to educate
Right.
and inform and get people
Right.
on board, because it's important.
Right.
well,
It's like
25,
anything else.
It's important.
You have to get momentum behind it. You
You
have to
do
make
have
it
to.
exciting. How do you make recycling exciting? I don't know, but you have to make it
But,
exciting
you know,
for
and
people.
there are some programs that do make recycling exciting.
Right, right.
All you have to do is look on the
Right.
internet. It's out there.
Right.
People have already done it. Community events to bring it to the forefront. There's a way to do it, but people have
Right.
to be willing to do it.
we have a gentleman that
that's
stopped
all.
me yesterday, he did it 25 years ago for us.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna mention his name until we get it official, but he's offered to go back into the schools with the program.
Right,
Right,
So we're gonna meet with him next week.
right,
So
that's
we
great.
are gonna start on it.
Honestly,
Yeah.
we have to do
right,
something.
right. We agree with you 100%. It just, when we were approached about, you know, with this, it was like, you know, we saw the numbers, they are losing money, our waste is down, way down, and, you know, So we do have to do something about it, but I think we're in the right direction. We have a map coming out. We did another township map, and there was a big thing on, Bob did a big thing on recycling on the map, so that'll be coming out here soon.
Yeah, all
So-
of that's great, we have to do it though.
Right, right. Mr. Engineer, you have anything to add before we go?
Just like to add that Speedway has submitted their building permit application for their new store on 121, so that is coming forward. And the doctor's office in the Fayette Business Park is going to make application for a 12,500 square foot facility there. And of course, all the residents that travel on Route 21 can see the progress being made there. I made contact with PennDOT, and the contractor is making progress, and depending on the weather, they don't know whether they're going to get done this year or whether it's going to have to carry into next year, but it's all contingent upon weather right now.
Yeah, they said that the roads would be open by the middle of November. All the main highway will be open, so, but they'll still be in the area, they said. Okay.
Is anything going to happen to Kmart property?
There has been some interest, nothing that can be officially announced, but there is interest in the Kmart property.
Good question. We asked him before we started that same question.
Yeah.
We'll let you know as soon as we find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
Hopefully
big
very
waste
soon.
over there right
Hopefully
now.
very soon.
If nothing further, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn at 4:40.
I'll move to adjourn at 4:40.
I'll second. On the roll call, Mr. Vernon?
Yes.
Mr. Scott? Yes. Mr. Schiffbauer?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
You don't have to travel to Pittsburgh to get good representation. We've been doing it since 1976. We've been successful. We can help you right here at home.
We know the nuances of the legal system in Uniontown in Fayette County. We know the nuances of the legal system in Waynesburg and in Washington.
We know the system. We know where the courthouse is, and we know where to park. And at our office, you can park for free.
Davis & Davis, attorneys at law.